Alright, hey boys, Jordan here, and welcome to day 5 of the 14-day rapid fat loss system. The weekend is here. We've had 5 days down. Friday, we are now heading into the weekend. So, what do we want to go to prepare ourselves for the weekend? Because obviously the weekend is where everyone falls off the wagon, everyone binges. We really want to go through this concept and this mindset that you can fall off a wagon. Because is there actually a wagon to fall off of? Well, no, not really. Because think about what you're doing. You're not on a diet, so to say. You're not on a really restrictive diet where you can only eat these foods and you can't eat these foods. Remember what we're saying is you're just trying to hit your calories, you're trying to hit your macros, and you're trying to do that by sticking to the foods on the shopping list. And there's a range of foods there. There's such a high range of foods there that it's pretty hard to fall off that list. But if you fall outside of that list, that's also okay. As long as you're still hitting your calories and your macro intake, that's also okay. We want you to hit those, hit your macros and calories from the shopping list for the most part. But if you go outside of that, that's okay. You haven't fallen off. Alright, so there's no wagon to fall off of. All you need to make sure is when you go into the weekend, you still stick to your calorie intake, and I'll talk about why that's important in a second. But how do we want to approach the weekend? What do we want to do? We don't want to let it be a blowout. Okay, it's really important, and I'll explain why in a second, but we really don't want to make sure that we do really good through the week, and on the weekend we completely binge and just undo all our progress. Okay, so understand that one bad meal, or 2 bad meals, or even 3 bad meals is okay. As long as they're not 2,000 calorie meals each. If you have one bad piece of food, don't think that's just ruined and then go eat the whole, if you have one scoop of ice cream, don't think, oh, I've ruined my whole diet, I'm going to have a whole tub of ice cream now. Okay? You don't need to do that. That's like getting a flat tire and then slashing the other 3 tires because you go, oh, fuck it, the whole car's ruined. Yeah, it's not. It's just one little thing that you need to fix up. Okay? Really important. Another example. You drop your phone, it gets a little crack in it, everyone's done it on their iPhone, so then you get a hammer and just smash the whole phone into pieces. Yeah, you don't do that. Everyone just deals with the little crack. Yeah, really important. 1 or 2 or 3 bad meals is not a bad thing. Obviously we don't want it, but it's not the end of the world. Okay, we don't want you to feel so restricted that you have one meal and then you just lead to a massive binge because you feel like you can't eat anything, and that's not what we're not. We're not trying to be on a diet here. We're trying to get you to stick to these lean meats, these healthy fats, these really good sources of carbs, but otherwise making sure you hit your macro and calorie intake. Okay, so organization is key. All right, organization is key. So what do we want to do? We want to make sure that come Saturday morning, you're organized. You've got a lot of food at home. You can immediately start Saturday and Sunday morning with a high protein, a high fat, a lower carb meal. Okay, a really good solid meal to start off your day. Bacon and eggs with spinach, tomatoes, mushrooms, blah blah, onion, whatever you want. Yeah, really good, delicious breakfast. Yeah, something high protein, high healthy fat, avocado. Yeah, to make sure you start off your day really well. This will keep you full for longer, as well as set up your day really well. Because if you have a crappy breakfast or you skip breakfast throughout the day, you're going to lead to more binging. Okay, organization is key to make sure that you start the day off really well, and then continue that trend. So start the day off really well, then you make sure your lunch and your afternoon meal is really good. Sticking to this same process: 45% fat, 40% protein, 15% carb. Do that throughout the day, because obviously where everyone goes wrong on the weekend is late afternoon or Saturday night. They have a few beers, turns into a lot more beers, turns into junk food. If you head out with the boys or you go down to the pub, blah blah blah. If you're a family man, you might not do this, but you still might overindulge at home. Yeah, or you might have takeaway with the family. Yeah, and again, that's fine. If the rest of the day is good, then you're allowing yourself to be able to afford these types of foods at night, because we understand it's going to happen most of the time. So if you have these 2 to 3 solid meals, 1, you're setting yourself up for a really good day, and 2, you'll be less tempted at night to binge on so much crap. Okay, and this leads us, so that's how to approach the weekend, and this leads us to our calorie intake and what we're doing and what we should be focusing on for the weekend. So essentially think about what you've done all week so far. You've had 5 days of a calorie deficit. Your deficit adds up for the week. It doesn't just reset each night. So it's not one day at a time where I was good this day, I'm bad the next day. The whole week adds up, and I'll explain what I mean now. Essentially, your metabolism burns a certain amount of calories per day. So for this example, let's pretend your metabolism is burning 2,500 calories a day. Okay? If you eat, your meal plan says to eat 2,200 calories per day, you're putting yourself in a deficit of 300 calories per day. Okay? Because your metabolism is here, you're eating slightly under that. That deficit means you're burning more than what your body's taking in, and that way you will lose that 300 calories of weight per day. Okay, and it all adds up to different amounts. But essentially, after 5 days, if you do this consistently every day, that's a 1,500 calorie deficit. Yeah, and that'll lead to serious weight loss, which would be good. Yeah, but if on the weekend, you decide to have a massive binge, you go out Saturday night, you have 12 beers, if there's about 250, 300 calories per beer, that's 3,600 calories. Yeah, just of beer. Yeah. Plus you have 1,000 calories of junk food, because everyone loves junk food after a good binge session. Boom, suddenly you've had an extra 4,600 calories just on a Saturday night. Yeah, so your deficit for the week, that 1,500 calorie deficit, that you really worked on, which was quite easy to stick to. You weren't on a massive diet, but you still worked hard for that. You're tracking your calories. Suddenly, that one binge on Saturday night has put you in a 2,000 calorie surplus. Yeah, undoing all the hard work you did throughout the week, completely eliminating that deficit you created in the first 5 days. Now you're in a surplus and you're probably put on weight. Yeah, so that's an extreme example because I hope you're not consuming 12 beers and massive amounts of junk food every single Saturday night. But if you are, you can see where you might be going wrong. Yeah, so your deficit adds up for the week, and if you just go nuts on a Saturday night, you're just completely ruining that. So what do we want to do? And don't think this means you can't have any fun. What do we want to do instead? You can have fun, but you have to be moderated, okay? Just because we want to make it easy, just because we want to make this an easy process and make it feel like it's not a diet, doesn't mean there'll be no sacrifice. You still have to work hard. You still have to put in some effort, yeah? You still have to sacrifice some things, yeah? We can't just pretend that you can have 12 beers and have no ramifications, yeah? Otherwise, the world would be, alcoholism in the world would be a bigger problem. Yeah, a bigger problem than it already is in Australia, obviously. If instead you want to have a few beers, we all enjoy a few beers, you can have a couple, 2 to 3 beers, that's 600 to 900 calories, and a cheeky dinner, takeaway or something, that's around the 800 calorie mark, that's only 1,500 calories. So if you add that to the food intake you had throughout the day, so if you had 2 or 3 solid meals, you're probably having maybe slightly over 2,500 calories for the day, but you've allowed yourself your beers, you've allowed yourself to enjoy yourself, and suddenly you're not ruining that deficit that you created for the week, you're actually maintaining that deficit and you'll still get results. So you can still have fun, you just got to understand how it works like this and how you can be in moderation. This is how to approach the weekend. Again, be really consistent throughout the day. If you know you're going to an event, if you know you're going to a function, if you know you're having friends over for dinner, then just organize your day so you're really structured, so at night you can allow yourself to indulge. Maybe have less carbs throughout the day because you're going to be having wine and crackers and high carb meals at night. Yeah, and that way you can still hit those ratios. All right, so your task for this weekend, get organized. Make sure you have solid meals throughout the day. Breakfast is the most important meal. Make sure you start off on a really good note. High protein, high fat, lower carb. Throughout the rest of the day, just be organized of what you should be eating. Have really solid meals. That way, at night, again, you can just have a 4th solid meal. That would be the easiest solution. If you are at an event or something, or having some sort of takeaway, you know how it works now. Yeah. Still track your calories and macros no matter what you put in your mouth. Okay. If you do blow out, if you do have a binge, which we've just discussed, shouldn't happen. It's basically impossible to happen if you follow this structure. But if you do have a few beers, if you have some high carb foods at night, just chuck it in MyFitnessPal anyway, and you can see what the damage is. And essentially, a lot of people overestimate in their head what the damage was. So they're so afraid of putting it in MyFitnessPal that they just don't want to put it there and don't want to look at it. Whereas it's better to put it in, and then you can go, oh, actually, it was only about 1,000 calories. I assumed it was 3,000 calories or something. And so you've got 1,000 calories over, which is not what we want, but at the same time, it's better to know in your head where you are. You've got that objective measurement rather than creating a negative perception in your head that you've done worse than you actually have, which is a big one for most people. Yeah. So get organized, track your calories and macros, whatever you're putting in your mouth, and then look out for the webinar. Make sure you jump on over this weekend. Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday we'll send out a message and an email. Make sure you're jumping on because we've got crazy new stuff to go through, implementing more nutrition stuff and the exercise component starting next week. Okay. Week 5 down, the weekend's here. Look forward to it. Enjoy it. It's awesome that we can do this system and still get results. Okay, we'll talk to you over the weekend. Got some awesome stuff coming up for the rest of this program. Keep smashing it. We'll talk to you soon, guys. Cheers.